इंडिया स्पीक्स डेली को सब्सक्राइब करें, उसके बेल आइकन को ज़रूर दबाएं यदि आपको इसकी पत्रकारिता पसंद हो। धन्यवाद।
Indian capital Delhi is in throes of alarming levels of air pollution yet again. It is indeed an emergency-like situation. Citizens of Delhi, residents of Delhi are complaining of various respiratory ailments. It is an emergency-like situation for not just Delhi, but the whole national capital region, that is Delhi and the surrounding areas. The Supreme Court has yet again come strong on the Delhi government, indicting it for not being able to control the severe levels of air pollution in Indian capital. And let's remember that earlier this month, the Supreme Court had categorically asked the Delhi government as to what it has done to bring down the alarming levels of air pollution in the city, and also said that the Aam Aadmi Party government has no right to rule Delhi. It has no right to stay in power if it is not able to control the alarming levels of pollution in the city that is wreaking havoc with the lives of Delhi citizens. The Supreme Court had strongly reprimanded the Aam Aadmi Party government that it seems like it has indeed forgotten its responsibility of taking care of the interests of its citizens, especially the poor and the marginalized. And as the air pollution levels have reached such dire levels that people are indeed going to start dying if any concrete measures will not be immediately taken. So the Supreme Court had come out very strong on Delhi government earlier this month, and in view of rising air pollution levels, yet again the Supreme Court has yet again come out strong on the Delhi government, the AAP government, and the AQI levels in many parts of Delhi NCR have already breached the severe category, and in other areas they're hovering around the severe category. And as we said, it is a health emergency like situation for people of Delhi NCR. Now, as to the causes of air pollution in Delhi, the most well-known cause, of course, is stubble burning in Punjab, Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh, something that has been majorly highlighted by the mainstream media. But apart from that, another cause of rising air pollution in Indian capital Delhi is vehicular congestion. And this is something which hasn't quite gotten the kind of attention it deserves from the mainstream media and within various forums of public discourse. Vehicular congestion or vehicular exhaust fumes contribute at least 40% to the hazardous amount of particulate matter that cause air pollution in Delhi. So vehicular congestion is also something that the Delhi government perhaps needs to look at. Now, as to what the Delhi government has really done to bring down levels of air pollution in the capital, the answer is practically very little. The only concrete scheme that the government has till now really implemented is the odd-even scheme based on the plying of cars with odd and even number plates on alternate days, which is a takeoff from the odd-even scheme as it was implemented in China. An odd-even scheme was implemented once before in 2017, and as was illustrated through various reports, odd-even scheme did considerably little in terms of curbing air pollution, that it had a marginal impact on improving the air quality of Delhi. And despite these findings, again, the Delhi government has started the odd-even scheme. In fact, somebody has also filed a petition in the Supreme Court regarding the odd-even scheme, that the Delhi government has introduced the scheme only as an election gimmick because it wants to win the elections, and therefore it is an election gimmick, an election ploy, and that by introducing the odd-even scheme, the Delhi government is in fact infringing on the rights of citizens to freely move around, work and travel. So this petition has been just about placed before the Supreme Court. Now, apart from the odd-even scheme, what has the Delhi government really done to bring down the alarming levels of air pollution? What it has been consistently doing over the past couple of years is that it has been extensively quoting data from examples, from experiences of various other countries across the globe, China specifically, and trying to replicate their experiences in combating air pollution in the Indian context. Like it's been trying to introduce Beijing's graded rapid response action plan in Delhi in order to bring down the alarming levels of air pollution. Now, herein lies the fault line. What works in China would definitely not work in India, because both India and China are two completely diametrically opposite political systems. In a democracy like India, one cannot have an iron-handed approach like China in terms of implementing measures, in terms of rolling out measures. In India, there are many stakeholders who have to be concerned at every stage, and in India, you simply cannot implement things the way China does. So instead of looking at examples from foreign countries and trying to just sort of copy and paste them into the Indian context, the Aam Aadmi Party needs to come up with a specific strategy. They need to formulate a specific strategy, keeping in mind the local terms and conditions, the local ethos of India, something that is India specific, something that would work at the Indian level, rather than just blindly trying to copy and paste specific examples of other countries across the globe in terms of their efforts in bringing the levels of air pollution down. Since the past couple of years, every year, it is around the time of November only that Delhi faces an air pollution emergency and air pollution crisis. It's all over the newspapers, it's all over the global media. Respiratory ailments amongst Delhiites are on rise. And despite this, it is amazing that the Aam Aadmi Party government has done very little to address this problem. It has till now not been able to formulate a cohesive strategy to tackle the problem of air pollution. Every year, when air pollution strikes in November, the ritualistic response is to put in place certain emergency measures. But where is the engagement all year? Where is an all-year consistent strategy to address the problem of air pollution at various levels? And it is in this context that the Arvind Kejriwal-led Aam Aadmi Party government should take a cue from the central government. They should take a cue from the Narendra Modi-led BJP government, the NDA coalition at the center, and their success in running campaigns on various issues in which the public is involved on a large scale. A case in point here is the central government's Clean India campaign. Clean India campaign, which massively mobilized public support from across the country to not just construct toilets and to not just raise awareness on the issue of toilets, but to also make talk about sanitation and to also create a space of conversation around sanitations and something like toilets, which was hitherto considered an inconceivable topic of discussion in public spaces. With Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Clean India campaign, it became rather cool to talk about sanitation and toilets. It brought India's agenda of promoting sanitation on a global stage, and what it also did is it brought urban India closer to realizing the problems of rural India when it came to sanitation. So the Clean India campaign had a massive impact, not to mention that it also provided livelihood to millions in villages of India who were involved in construction of these toilets. So just look at the Clean India campaign, which is also trying to address a widespread problem that India was facing, open defecation, and look at the way it involved the general public in addressing this problem. So this is the kind of example that the Delhi government needs to emulate, and this is the kind of campaign that we need against air pollution in Delhi. One that involves the people of Delhi, public from all walks of life, right from poor people, underprivileged, those who work on the streets, outdoors, those who are most exposed to air pollution, to the middle class, to the privileged classes. Everybody needs to be involved in this campaign against air pollution. It also has to have the potential to create employment opportunities. Because let's not forget that in an emerging economy like India, a lot of industries provide livelihood to people. A lot of people draw their sustenance from industries, even though they might be polluting. So emergency responses or an iron-handed approach of shutting down these industries would not work in an Indian context. What would work in an Indian context is taking all stakeholders into account, is taking people into account and devising a campaign that takes people into account, that involves the local people. And as we can see, the air pollution awareness in Delhi is still very low. Schools in NCR have been shut down for a period of 2-3 days. A lot of restrictions have been placed on several polluting industries as well. The whole world media is talking about the air pollution catastrophe in Delhi NCR. But despite this, you can spot very few people on Delhi streets wearing face masks to protect themselves from the harmful effects of air pollution. Now, what is the reason behind this? It is clearly not a lack of money, because I'm talking about the middle classes who can easily afford a 500 rupees or a 200 rupees face mask. The problem here is the mindset. People in Delhi do not consider air pollution an issue. So we need to raise awareness on air pollution. And then there's also the issue of poor people who work outdoors. Laborers, rickshaw pullers, street vendors, these are the classes, these are the people who are the most vulnerable to the effects of air pollution, because they can't afford face masks. They cannot install air purifiers inside their houses and stay in all the time. They do not also have the means to sort of improve their diet, to negate the effects of air pollution. Therefore, the Delhi government has to take into account these poor people, as the Supreme Court had also rightly reprimanded the Delhi government. The Aam Aadmi Party government indeed needs to wake up to its responsibility of protecting the health of its citizens, even the poorest of the poor of its citizens. Now, coming to the next point, instead of looking outside, rather than trying to copy examples from other countries and trying to sort of mechanically replicate those measures in the context of Delhi NCR to control air pollution, we need to look within. What we need is a complete mindset overall. We need to move away from this consumerist lifestyle. We need to move away from an overtly consumerist lifestyle that we are following, that is bordering on sort of wasteful expenditure, a lifestyle which makes us lazy, which discourages us from walking, and which makes us endorse so-called modernity in all its negative manifestations. We need to look within, in the ancient repository, in the repository of ancient Indian culture and value systems. The ancient Indian system of yoga, the ancient Indian system of Ayurveda, and the various festivals, the various myths, the various rituals surrounding Hinduism contained in the rubric of Hinduism that worship nature, that worship flora, fauna, and these rituals and festivals of our ancient culture that have a lot of wisdom to offer to us in terms of inculcating within us the values of preserving nature and coexisting with nature rather than destroying nature. This is again the East versus West dichotomy as well. While the West has always looked at nature in terms of a conqueror, that it is indeed somebody who will conquer nature. The conquest of nature through development and science has been the project of West, but the project of the East and India, which is the cradle of the Eastern civilization, the project of this East and the project of ancient Indian culture has been to coexist with nature, to live in harmony with nature, and not compete with nature. And it is by looking back into this ancient Indian value system that we need to change, we need to engage with, and this is how we'll change our mindset. So we need to find innovative ways and means to make this ancient Indian value system appealing to the younger generation, so that they embark on a new lifestyle, on a lifestyle that takes an inspiration from our forefathers, on a healthy lifestyle. And this is something which will help us in addressing the problem of air pollution in the long term. Lastly, the BJP government has already taken a lot of initiatives in terms of reducing our dependence on coal and fossil fuels by promoting renewable sources of energy such as solar power, wind power, hydro energy, etc. Besides, the government is also taking a lot of initiatives to promote electric vehicles, and then there's the campaign to get India free of plastics. So all these things have to be looked at in tandem and not separately, like this is the Clean India campaign, this is the plastic the plastic awareness campaign. These things don't have to be looked at separately, but rather they have to be looked at holistically, because all these issues are ultimately tied to the issue of climate change. And the issue of air pollution that Delhi is facing is also not a temporary issue. It is, in the larger context, it is tied to the issue of climate change that the whole world is facing. So the Modi government has already done a lot of commendable work within these specific areas, within these sectors. Now what needs to be done is that all these things need to be consolidated together, and we need to look at the problem of air pollution in totality, and we need to address this problem in totality. Thank you.